Smurl, and I am I'm a mom. I'm a member of this community. I have been my entire life. I was raised here. I raised 3 children here, and they all went to Cabell County schools. I am head artistic director of Huntington Area Regional Theater, so some of you all may know that's our theater group in the park. I want to say I am not here as a representative of the park. I am here as a mom and a grandmother and a concerned citizen, okay? That's so important. Tonight, hopefully, if you can look at your agenda, we're going to have some representatives speaking from the park, library. We've got some other people. We're going to super fast. We then need to split up into some groups where we have to have our plan. You know, how we're going to have, who's going to take care of t-shirts, who's going to take care of signs, so on and so forth. Because I think that's our most important thing. I do know that I've been watching, and all I know is what I watch and what I see and what I hear. But I know that they are still in talks, the Board of Education, still in talks with the parks and the library. And I think that's lovely. I think it's lovely, but I do think that we have Ryan Sachs very worried, and rightfully so, and his board of whatever. They are afraid, they are concerned, and they are worried. And that is why I think that they are concerned, considering compromising it, which blows my mind. Compromise to give you the money that we stole from you, but fine, that's okay. One thing I want to make very, very clear is this is not anti-teacher at all. We love and support our teachers. I have 3 children who came up through the Cabell County school system and had wonderful teachers who helped shape who they are today. And I stood with the teachers, and I always will. We have one wonderful teacher here, Mrs. Boyd, who was the teacher at Huntington High and tennis coach. I mean, the teachers matter. But also what I want to say, and parks matter. We do the theater at the park, but the parks matter, the libraries matter. They got us through COVID. There are places for us to go and be. There are places for our children to be. They provide so many activities, so many wonderful things. And I think that it's so important that we all are coming together for them. But it's bigger than that. It's bigger than that, because I think if we can find anything good out of this, if we can glean any good out of this, it opened our eyes. Why? To what was going on at the Board of Education, what's going on. And that's our community. Those are our children. This matters. I mean, these are our kids. And the people who are responsible for making decisions, we have to support the community in this effort. So yes, it is because what is going on with Parks and Library, but also for me personally, it is a community effort. And I think that that's super important for me. I am not the leader of anything. I am the first person who, when I found out what the response was from the Supreme Court, who got on and went, let's meet, what's this? I am not a leader. I'm a great worker bee. I'm hoping that we all tonight can kind of figure out how we're all going to work in tandem to make this happen so that we can send the message. My call to action, and this is my personal one, okay? Not for anybody else or this group, is to vote down the levy in May. I think it's super important. I think if we do that, and there is time for the Board of Education to make things right. If we can trust that they will do that, we can go back November, right? That can happen. I don't know. Elephants fly. I don't know. I'm sorry, I digress. But I think that it is most important. It's not going to hurt anyone. I know that Ryan Sachs has been sending out emails to frighten teachers and frighten service personnel. I know that I have heard it from wonderful people at the board. They say the risks that are going on, they're normal, they're typical this time of year, but he's trying to make it look like, this is what's going on, you're losing your jobs, you're this, you're that. And I have heard that this group has been mentioned a couple times to some of the park board people and some of the library people, as if they would control us, maybe that would make things a little better. And it's like, no, we are private. I know that he can do that to the teachers and scare them, but we are working on our own. So I think that's super important. What I want to do first is we have Matt, Vincent, and Amanda, if you all want to come over here. We have the representatives from the Republican Executive Committee and the Democratic Executive Committee, and they're going to make a statement.
Hello, I am Amanda Beachburge. I am the chair for the Cabell County Democratic Executive Committee.
I'm Matt Pinson, and I'm chairman of the Republican Executive Committee here in Cabell County.
And Matt and I have spoke a lot on the phone over the last couple of days to try and fix some bipartisan issues within Cabell County. And we wanted to come today because I know there's been some concern and support coming from one side, or, you know, what the concerns were around what happens during the election. And Matt and I have both had a lot of conversations about how this impacts our community. And we have some concerns with the impact that kids are gonna have. There's only 70% of the county that has access to internet, and all the kids have iPads. And how are they gonna be able to do their schoolwork? How is this gonna negatively impact our older population that goes to the libraries? I live up in Barbersville. Our library is a source center for our communities. Our elderly community, senior center is right next door. They go right next to the library and get their books. And Matt and I have discussed it a lot, and we wanted to issue a joint statement today that we both support a no vote on the levy.
Yeah. Matt, you have
Ditto.
Okay, let's see, Josh, Kent, Josh, are you here?
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, Josh is a representative from the Park Board, GHPRD Park Board.
Give me 15 seconds. I gotta be really careful what I say today, and I'm not gonna try and give any more than I absolutely have to. So I just.
We don't want you to get in trouble.
Thank you. Especially with WSA. So I am on the park board. My name's Josh Keck. The Facebook group, I want to start with that. So we created this Facebook group right after the August 1st meeting. And the whole point of that group, which now has, 2,500 some members, the whole point of that group was transparency. The whole point of that group was so we could have conversations about what was happening, what we could do about it. It's eventually going to become kind of a board of education, or, if you will, a local government watch group, so that we can kind of continue this effort, because like Mary said, there's been questions raised. I don't have the answers to those questions, but there's enough people in the community who have been in the school system, or have kids in the school system, or have worked there for decades, who have a lot of information, and they've been very forthcoming with it, and then there's plenty of public information. So I think it's been a very good place to share ideas and to share even activist kind of ideas, things we can do. Obviously, we're all here today because of that group, so thank you for all the continued support. The group does exist mainly for transparency. I mean, that's what we're doing. We have had some meetings with the Board of Education, and I want to address that they have been closed-door meetings. We have not had a quorum at any of these meetings. So the Open Governmental Meetings Act goes into effect once you have a quorum, right? So on the Park Board, we've got 10 members. Quorum would be, I think, 5. And on the Board of Education library, they've got 5. So we've been, 2 members of each board have been at these meetings. So they've not been open to the public. They're productive, and I think we've had 2 meetings now. We had one on Friday and we had one on Monday today. We're gonna have another tomorrow. And each meeting, I will say, we are getting ever closer to what we want. But I can't say you're going to be happy about it. I can't tell you how to vote. I can't tell you what to think. We are lucky that we have a mulligan, right? If the levy votes, if we vote no in May, then we have a mulligan. I don't know how you'll feel in November. I don't know how anybody will feel, because ultimately, if the levy fails again in November, and the Board of Education doesn't come around to what you're asking for, if they want to play hardball, then that could be a very different scenario. So I'm personally worried about that, and I think the other board members are. We don't know, is now our strongest position to negotiate, or when the levy fails is our strongest position to negotiate. It's so hard to say. We're trying to do our best to get to an outcome that is the closest thing to a win-win-win, okay? That's, as I think you all know, right now we have a win-lose-lose. And if the levy fails twice, then it's a lose-lose-lose. Really trying to get to something where every party is happy and that we don't have to close any branches of the library. Is Brianna here to talk?
No.
Brian's not going to be here to talk. We want to get to where we don't have to close any library branches, and we don't want to have to, you know, I don't know what we do at the parks, to be fair. I mean, I don't want to go into doomsday scenarios either. I don't want to scare people into voting no. I want you to vote because you're informed. So that's the issue with transparency. I know that question has been raised. I do want to let you know that we have been looking at every possible option in front of us. First option was going to the Supreme Court. Obviously, that didn't work out. We had a good case. We had lawyers who were working pro bono for the parks and the libraries together, Nelson Mullins. Didn't charge us $1. Okay, and I can't tell you how thankful we are for that. Even if it didn't turn out our way, they're still working with us. They're in these meetings with us. And I would not want anybody else in that room other than Mark Williams. He is incredible. I mean, I was blown away today. So they have been providing services pro bono, and obviously we went to the Supreme Court. We didn't get the outcome we wanted. And we have lots of thoughts on that, but I'm not going to share until we get the written decision. But ultimately, they must have thought that the 2013 court case with Kanawha County applies in this case. There's distinctive differences, but they apparently were not material enough differences. So that was one thing we looked at. Another thing we looked at was legislative solutions. Could we get the House of Delegates and the state Senate involved? We have representatives who are very sympathetic, and they want to get to a resolution on this. Our local legislative representatives, not all of them, but many of them, want this to be resolved. I won't say names, but I think you all know who I'm talking about. The challenge with the legislative solution is, first off, it would have to apply to all 55 counties. So not just Cabell, not just because we are raising a fuss and we have this problem. They'd have to do something that would apply to everybody. And probably what they would have to do is a constitutional amendment, which then means not only do all of them have to agree to do this, but then all of you as citizens would then have to agree. And that's a very tough ask. So we're really up against the Constitution here and what we are able to do. And what I mean is how much we're able to tax the citizens in their property values. What's the maximum amount these levy taxes can be? That's what we're up against. If we could just increase the Board of Education's levying capacity to accommodate everybody, we'd do so in a heartbeat. Everybody'd be happy, all right? But we can't, because we're up against this maximum that we just can't get past. Now, there are other levying bodies, but so far, we don't really think those are very good options. There's the county commission. They have just a small amount of capacity, and they're really, I don't think they're willing to give that up. Then there's the municipalities. There's City of Huntington, Barbersville, and Milton. Barbersville's already maxed out. City of Huntington has a levy for the TTA. They might be able to work with us on maybe a funding gap. That's really, we're not even having those conversations. I'm just telling you what's a possibility, right? And then Milton, who the hell knows what Milton will do? I mean, I don't think they're going to vote to raise their taxes, right? These would be tax increases I'm talking about. If we can't get the funds from the BOE, then any other opportunity to tax you would be a tax increase. You say those two words, people are immediately turned off, right? So I get that. Even if it's a very small amount, you say the word tax increase and everybody's scared. So those are the three options, basically. Legal solution, legislative solution, levying solution. So far, it looks like we're really dependent on the Board of Education right now, and maybe in November. Maybe we need to go back to the table in November, but we are dependent on this levying capacity that we've had for decades, all right? But all the options are out there, and we've been having those discussions. Really, the last thing I want to mention, I think I've gotten the things out of the way that I can safely say. Anything else I say will be detrimental. But I do want to just say that I'm a teacher. I don't work in K through 12. I work at, I'm not going to say where I work at a community college. And I have Cabell Midland High School students in my classrooms. I have Huntington High School students in my classrooms. I don't want the levy to fail. I'll do whatever I have to do, though, that makes all three entities as whole as possible. And if that means voting no, then it means voting no. But it's the last thing I want to do, right? As a teacher, as someone with a 1-year-old child who is going to enjoy his library card soon, and we go out to the parks, and in a few years, he's going to be the recipient of this levy. He'll be in 2nd grade before this levy expires. He's 1 year old now, but he'll be in 2nd grade before this funding is gone and then up for another 5 years. So I really, really want a win-win-win that is going to make everybody happy. And the only people who can really make that happen are the 5 members on the Board of Education. They have the authority to do so. The Supreme Court has given them full authority in that regard. So there will be, if we come to any kind of agreement, there will be another public meeting from the Board of Education, and what they'll have to do, they'll have to repeal the ballot order they passed on August 1st. Many of you were there on the meeting on August 1st. We had to move rooms because it got so crowded. I don't know if they'll have to do that again, but there will have to be a meeting where that ballot gets repealed, and then a new ballot gets proposed, and then 3 out of the 5 have to approve the new ballot. So that's what we're up against, and before that can happen, you will have your voice heard once again. So I would plan on that happening very soon. Probably March 4th, probably Monday is when that would happen. And that is the last day that the Secretary of State says you can get a ballot approved by your board to get on the ballot for May. If we don't get a resolution by then it's going to just run as it is. And obviously nobody wants that, and that will definitely fail. If it runs as is, it definitely fails. There's no question. Then we go to November. If there is a motion to repeal and that gets approved and a new ballot is proposed, you will have an opportunity to speak on that. So one last thing, Brianna's not here, but I want everyone, she might be in the building. Would everyone please stand up and put your hands together? This woman, Brianna, you should have seen her in these meetings. I mean, absolutely fierce. So if she's in this building, I want to hear your applause.
Thank you, Josh. Thank you so much. Real quick, guys, I want to address a couple points that Josh said, and then we're going to get down to the tasks of splitting up and getting business done. 1 second. Okay. We'll bring you up here. What I wanted to say is the fact that people are scared to not, they can't talk. They're told not to talk. These meetings were supposed to be 100% confidential, right? Nobody was supposed to come out of them. The minute that they finished their meeting last week, they came out and Mary Neely dropped an op-ed the next day. Now, you cannot tell me that that wasn't in the plan, in the works all along. So they, once again, they cannot be trusted. We cannot trust them. We cannot trust, if I feel like if it all lays in the hands or in the laps of the Board of Education, those 5 people, I don't know who was there August 1st, but when that was, we were treated as a community of people with total disrespect. They voted on that so quickly, and they tried, it was in our face. They wanted us to see that they had that power. Yes. They are not invested in the best for our community, our children. They just aren't. They're in it for themselves. They rubber stamp. The board should be in place to keep the superintendent in check. I mean, they're supposed to work in tandem. And you know what happens? They rubber stamp everything he says and does. And so I think that once we divvy up, we have to have some different, groups working, but one of them has to be investigative. One has to be collecting information on the misspending that has been going on, and probably the illegal spending that has been going on at the Board of Education with Ryan Sachs alone, because I think that that's a huge thing. And then we'll have some other things. But, okay, you wanted to, I'm sorry, Ms. Rowley, you wanted to.
Brianna says thank you, by the way. she's crying and very thankful.
Yeah, she cried. My name is Judy Wool, and I am the retired director of this library. I worked here 54 years, and I have been involved in talking to Brianna every day, probably. The library board is working very hard, and the park board, to see if there can be a resolution that the levy is not voted down. But it has to be, as Josh said, a win-win-win situation, not a win-lose-lose situation as we have now. Ryan Sachs keeps talking about compromise, but that means us give and he takes. And so I rather in the opinion that we don't vote for the levy, but nevertheless, I think that we do need to be very careful that what this group says is accurate, because certainly what they have said is not accurate and not truthful. And we don't want them to be able to come back and say, well, you said that, and it wasn't true. We want to be able to be absolutely careful that what you say, just because somebody tells you something doesn't make it true. So be sure before you repeat something that you have been told that you check your facts. We used to have a t-shirt in the Library Association that said, Google will give you a million answers, but a librarian will give you the right one. You need to know what's right. So that we need to just kind of wait until, because this will be, we'll know what's going to happen before the next Monday. Because that is the last day that can be changed. And if it goes through now, I'd say vote it down certainly. If it goes to, but if the library board and park board reach an agreement, then do you want to be opposed to them? I don't know. And you'll need to think about that real hard and long to make sure that I have lived a long time. And somebody said, why do you know these things? And I said, well, easy, because I did it wrong the first time. And so I've done things wrong, and I know that it's easy to have good intentions and not get the result you want. So be sure what your plan is, that it will accomplish what you want it to accomplish. The Bible says, I'm a believer in something. The Bible says, be angry and sin not. And that's my advice to you. Be angry, but be sure you're truthful. Okay, thank you.
I think that is so important. The fact checking, that is what we have to do. We have to make sure. And I think it's going to be really informative too for everyone to kind of dig in and see what has been going on there. I think that's going to be really important. I personally feel that just on the heels of that, if we didn't have November, I have never voted a levy down. I've never voted against a levy in my life. It will be with a heavy heart that I will have to do that. I will probably have to really be conscious and aware when I go in, because usually if it's levy, it's yes. But I don't want to do it, but I do think that if we do, it doesn't hurt anything. It can only help. It can only help, because we have November. And what it does do is it sends a message loud and clear to Ryan Sachs and those people who sit behind him, and with her little gavel, Mary, I think Mary, she literally has the traveling gavel. I think she's been on county commission and the city council, but it sends a message to them that you have to listen to the people in the community, because they work together for the better of the community. You cannot make those decisions by yourself, okay? So having said that, is there anyone, because I feel like that tonight I wanted to get the emails of everyone and see what the interest was. We are going to have to break up into, who wants to take on this particular task, and then a committee for that, and so on and so forth. And I think we have a couple weeks to get that done, because we have to hit the ground running. We literally have to. Is the person, somebody said in the group that they were, or their wife was making a website? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that kind of in the works now? Or?
Yeah, because we're using a card, dot something. So it's free. It might be limited. I'm not sure. We'll see. But we're working with getting all the information that we need for that and stuff like that.
This is Athena, in case anybody in the group, I know we're all getting to know each other and stuff. But the beauty will be, we have a website. So then it makes it super simple. We have a scan code. People can literally go, and it'll take them right to that website. They will be able to click a tab and see what Ryan Sachs has been spending money on. They will understand exactly what he did with the library money and the park money. It'll be very clear, facts only, super fast. We need t-shirts, We need pins. I think everybody in the group has been working. I love it. It's so exciting that we have so much, interest going. But I personally feel that moving forward, the goal will be to vote down the levy and make sure that the teachers know this is not about them. It's actually for them, because we get him out of there and it's better for the teachers. It absolutely is. Is there anyone? Yes.
My name's Gina Lima, and I have had the benefit of using the libraries and the parks my entire life. What I don't have is, because I'm a Westmoreland resident, is the ability to go in and pull a lever and vote against these people. What advice would you give me to go back and give my community, which is Westmoreland, which gets all the benefits of the parks and the libraries, but we're in Wayne County? What advice would you give me to have me go back and tell my community?
That is an excellent question, and I'll tell you one first. I have very few answers, but it came from the group. I think it was Sheila Redling said that she thought we should have buttons made up that just said, "Ask me about the levy." And if you have the information, and you can tell people if they can, because I have a lot of family in Wayne County and a lot of friends, and they have relatives in Campbell County. They have voting people. So as long as people are talking about it and informed, but if we have the button or the t-shirt that has the code on it, that you can tell them just to go and tell family members, anybody they know in Campbell County, to spread that word. That is so important. Thank you so much.
Use your library still, because Wayne County is in the consortium with Cabell County, so
Yes.
if you live in a different county, still use your library.
Yes. Absolutely, yes. Anybody
But
else?
they will be impacted if the cuts would go through, then all of the entire Western Counties region would be affected by that. Because you can't cut the main wheel and not feel the effects throughout the system.
Right.
But all the people in Wayne County that I know have friends and relatives in Cabell County. So tell them to tell. And that's the thing. Years ago, when this library was being built, there was a levy passed that funded generated money to build this library. Milton added on to Barbersville, built Gallagher Village, and part of Dyandock. But the levy was run twice. The first time it was run, we thought, nobody's going to vote against the library. Well, they maybe didn't, but they voted not to raise their taxes. So it failed, and we ran it again, and we had a telephone bank. We called people, but we didn't just call people willy-nilly. You have to have a plan of how to reach the people. You all are all convinced. I'm speaking to the choir here. We don't need to convince you about this. We need to convince all those people out there that don't know anything about it. And that's the big thing, is getting the word out. People don't read signs. People,
Thank you so much. Thank you. One other thing, so we are, just a little side note, to help do what we can to help support the parks and libraries. We are coming up with some events that we can have. They'll do two things. It will make public awareness, because we will always have our literature right there, our pins or our shirts on. So when people come, they'll know why we are raising funds, why we're holding this event. We have one particular event that we're working on in April that will benefit the Park District, and it will be a Ready Set Lego for kids, and it will be a little thing where kids can come in and they can build a make and take Lego set with them. We'll have the Lego movie going in the background. We'll have dinner. We'll have pizza. These things are being sponsored by people in the community. So what it does is it brings a little bit of money in to support. We'll do the same. We're planning another one for the library. But it's so important. I know people are like, well, what? That's dropping the bucket money. No, it's important because people see that we're out there raising money because the Board of Education stole the money. And also, we will have all the literature and all, we can spread the word. They are awareness raisers too, yes.
You're talking about raising money. What is the plan for the structure for that?
What do you mean, as far as where it,
Yeah, do we have like a PayPal? Are we looking for fiscal sponsorship? Are we
well,
looking at a
sponsorship, like, well, here's the thing. For the event that we're planning, I say it's Choose Joy Players. We are a theater troupe. We are a volunteer. By the way, when we do that for the park, we volunteer. None of us get paid. So we are the ones hosting that particular event. So we get our sponsors. So the idea is if you come up with an event or an idea, then that's where we're all going to have to get really crafty and figure out how we want to frame it, and and means to support it, sponsors, and so on. But
I work for an organization, West Virginia Citizen Action, that has offered before in August and is offering again to be a fiscal sponsor for a temporary organization. It wouldn't turn into a full C3, but to use our hosting tools, to use our C3 sponsorship to accept C3 donations, and also I'm happy to help with the field team and the use of van.
thank you. Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Could you introduce yourself?
I'm Danny Karen.
Okay, see, that's perfect. So then we can, people can kind of like independently put up these different events and stuff. And again, the money is one thing, sure, a little bit will help, but it's all about the awareness. It's all about the awareness raise.
Yeah, and the field team is the important piece that I really want to reiterate. Like Judy was saying, we need folks at doors. We need concentrated materials that we know have been vetted, and we need to be able to raise money to get those printed. The idea is we're going to have to hit every door before May, and then we're going to have to hit every door 2 more times before November to get them to change their votes. That November vote would take a lot more work than a simple no vote at this point. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
let's talk about door knocking and organizing.
No, that is so important. No, that is, and we need that. And that's why tonight I was going to put sheets up here to say, do you want to work on, t-shirts? Do you want to work on signs? Whatever. And then I realized tonight we needed to get organized. We have emails. Everybody can go home with this information and figure out what you want to do, because we're all working as a team,
Those of you here who are running for an office whose name will be on the ballot, would you please come up here and just quickly introduce yourself? I think it's an opportunity to represent or to reflect the fact that we have candidates here, and maybe they should have 30 seconds to introduce themselves and say why they're here.
Right up there in the front if you want to. Behind the
I didn't plan on doing this, so I didn't prepare for anything, but my name is Jack Daniels. I'm running for City Council District. City Council District 9, that's a guy in Altizer, Crossroads, Arlington Park, far east side of the city. But yeah, this is a very important issue to me. I was at the August 1 meeting and was very loud and obnoxious during that meeting. I think there's a clip of me on WSAC with my hair going like this. But yeah, it's a very important issue. We got to get our parks and libraries funded. They're the value of them can't be overstated. I think that the fact that we're having to fight against our own other public resources in our same county, it's travesty and it needs to stop. And we need people that are going to be in positions of influence that can push back on some of that stuff and keep them in check. So that's what I intend to do from the city of Huntington angle. Of course, I want to represent the people that would be voting for me in my district first, but these resources help the whole city, the whole county, the whole state, as was mentioned before. So we need to make sure that they are taken care of and that the public understands the value that they provide as a good. But that's me. If you're in District 9 in any of those neighborhoods, I'll be on the ballot. On the primary, I'm running against Carl East. I'm running as a Democrat. So I'll be on the Democratic primary for District 9. So vote for me if you want.
Your name again?
Jack Daniels.
Easy enough.
Easy to remember.
What name you're running under?
Yeah, Jack Daniels.
I thought you were under. Oh, you are. Never mind. Sorry.
Jack's got your back. That's what
Hello, my name is Allie Lehman. I'm currently on Huntington City Council. I was appointed a year ago. I've run for District 9 and lost by 74 votes. I ran for the House of Delegate in the new District 24, lost by 190 votes. But you know what? When you are a community leader and you want to have positive change, you don't stop. So when the seat became available, I threw my name out there and have been a representative of Guyanda, Altizer, and Arlington for the last year. We're all learning in what we're doing. Well, myself, I'm learning what I'm doing. I'm running for City Council at large, which will be a representative of the entire city. I've been in the service industry. I've worked at Branches Domestic Violence Shelter, which our community members have used INR, you know, gone to the parks. I'm a daughter of a retired educator. The parks, libraries, and the schools are so important in our community. So there has to be some way to have a win-win-win situation. As a community leader, I'm here to listen and see what we can do to help. And without listening to every aspect of things, you know, we have to move forward with positivity. So if there's anything I can do at a city level, please let me know. Everybody's welcome to come to city council meetings. It's great to have people come and speak and sign up for good and welfare. It is on Facebook and the city channel. So if you have something to say, please come say it. We love to hear people come and give their input. That is greatly appreciated. So thank you all.
My name is Linda Childers, and I'm running for Board of Education. I was a teacher, an elementary teacher for 32 years, and started in Wayne County. I moved to South Florida. I taught in Broward County, and the last 15 I taught in Cabell County. I realized when I moved to South Florida that every place has its positives and negatives, and I decided to come back home. 11 years ago, I quit teaching after a career that I loved, but I had a dream to be an artist. So I wanted to create an art business. And along the way, I became very political, and I converted really to an artivist. I combined my art with my activism. And I never, ever thought I would run for office, even though I became very political. And I did a lot of other things. I donated to candidates across the country. They all have my phone number and the whole party, my phone number and email now. I did things like non-political but activism kind of things. I painted a map of West Virginia and had it turned into puzzles, and to promote tourism in West Virginia to help small businesses. And my artivism has been varied. Most recently, I am doing an art show to benefit this new Huntington Children's Museum that's opening in June. But they still need a lot of money. So I decided to do this art show, and the opening reception is Saturday, just a few days at West Edge Factory, if you want to know more about that. Again, all of the proceeds are going to go to the Huntington Children's Museum. But back to school and back to the Board of Ed. Along the way, and I have joined several different boards in the community, and I am a committee chair of the West Virginia Reading Association, which is mostly populated by elementary teachers. The goal of the West Virginia Reading Association is to promote literacy. So I am doing many things in the community and statewide. And I started hearing things negative about Sachs pretty much when he came on board, when he cut the library positions out of schools. And then all these schools were being boarded up, and brand new schools were being built outside of the neighborhoods in many cases, which I am completely and totally opposed to. And then when this issue came up, that money taken away from the libraries and parks, that was just unimaginable. So I thought, I know that being on the Board of Education is a gigantic responsibility. It's not just using my educational experience as an educator. It's going to take a lot more than that. It's going to take doing a lot of studying the issues, listening to experts in their fields when decisions are being made, listening to parents, listening to educators, really doing the research myself, and so I know about these issues that will come up if I'm elected. But I'm willing to do it. I'm a hard worker. When I join an organization, I don't just go to fill a seat. I take a leadership position, and I work very hard in the organization. So I hope I get your vote.
Well, I introduced myself a little earlier, and you're wondering, well, what is this woman from Wayne County doing up here asking for my vote? Well, I'm running for the House of Delegates, the District 27, which straddles Wayne and Cabell County. So, I also will work hard for you. I fully intend to do everything I can in my power. If I'm going to be out knocking on doors in Cabell County and in Westmoreland, I might as well have a button on that says, ask me about the levy, and be wearing a t-shirt that says no parks, no libraries, no levy. So if I'm going to be out there meeting people anyway, they need to know where I stand and where I stand completely. So I'm here to help you, and I volunteer as a door knocker.
Let us hear your name one more time.
All right, yes, I'm Gina Milam.
Gina Milam. Thank you.